Shalom and welcome to another of our B'nai Jacob 125th anniversary videos. I am with a legend. I am with Nemo Nearman, the grandson of Julius and Libby Nearman, pretty much the founders of B'nai Jacob Synagogue. I'm with 4 of the 6 generations of the Nearman family that have made B'nai Jacob possible and made B'nai Jacob shine. So it's a real pleasure to be at the home of Nemo and Rita. Nemo, just tell me what you'd like about B'nai Jacob and in this community. Anything you'd like to tell me?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of walk you down the road.
Please.
Chronologically, if you don't mind,
Oh,
Rabbi.
yeah.
It was 125 years that B'nai Jacob really became the beacon of light for over 1,000 Jewish families, as well as incorporating itself in the religious and in the professional and political part of Charleston, West Virginia. It was those intrepid young men in their 20s, early 30s that tried to escape the ravages of Europe, as we know, and why they came to Charleston, no one knows. But here they came and found ways of making a living and gathered together to form a synagogue. And without being for sure, I would assume that when they got 8 men, it was like we have at our synagogue.
Still to this very
we
day.
need 2. So they went back to Europe and got 2 more men and started the synagogue. The first services, until they could find a better place, were held in the Libby and Julius Nearman home. And I would assume that my Bubby Libby Nearman may be the first matron of the now I'm stuck.
The congregation or the community or the auxiliary?
Ladies Auxiliary.
Of the
Ladies Auxiliary.
no
Oh,
serving
Oh!
serving the
Serving
after
the meals.
yes, and I can imagine it would
Didn't they entertain people at their home? People that would come in from,
Well,
people
they
that were itinerant?
did that too, but I could imagine after the services that she would serve things, and she would be the first.
Wow. I'm not going to tell my wife that.
She would be the first matron,
Wonderful.
right? Elk River gefilte fish, I guess. Then, of course, they found another location as the community grew, and then when they were able to, they bought the shul that I knew on the corner of Court and Lee Street. And my earliest remembrance, of course, were as a youngster of the holidays. Yom Kippur, the men would stay in shul all day long. The women would come over our house. We were scant 2 blocks away from shul, and these ladies all just came fresh from the old country, of course. The men brought them over after they got here and got established, and they would sit there in the afternoon and they would talk in Yiddish, and they would laugh and they would cry a little bit and they would talk seriously. And I just thought how great these ladies were that they could change lives like that. And of course, my grade school was just 2 blocks away from the house. The shul was right across the street from grade school. And I went to a grade school with a mixing pot. There was the Fazios, there was Lester Yared, Willie Dandy. We had a whole melting pot of the Lebanese and Italian community. And after school, I'd go across the street to shul. There was a little play area right next to the shul, and we would gather and we'd play marbles, we'd play dodgeball, and we'd play touch football. Alvin Preiser, Stanley Preiser, Bob Trope, Marty and Jack Goldfarb, and we would play and laugh and fight until Mr. Short came out and brought us in to go to Hebrew school.
You're talking about Coleman Short.
Yes, Common
Wow.
Shore, yes. fond memories of that. And then, of course, the complex of community changed. The Jewish community began to move away from Goshorn Street, and Truslow Street, Clendenin Street, up to Dixie and Maxwell and Jackson and Ruffner Avenue. And so the elders saw fit to think about a new shul. And this was in the mid to late 30s. Those were depressed times in the country, and money didn't come easy, but I remember they built a large painted thermometer there, and as the money would come in, and you had Sam Lipinski and Mose Pushkin and Lloyd Cohen and Peony Wells, and they were the men that would go and twist the arm to try and get that thermometer to go up and up. Then the war came. And when the war came, everybody went. If you're an able-bodied person between 18 and 40, you went. Everybody went, and we were well represented. And when the war was over, everybody came back. Almost everybody.
We have a plaque downstairs with all the
plaque downstairs,
for
and
everyone that served.
You'd see the gold stars of a couple of them that didn't make it back. But we had our heroes. Joe Catiff was a Marine infantryman. He fought every battle in the Pacific. In 2 battles, I guess it was Midway and Iwo Jima, I think, as I understand. He was the only person in his company that survived. Sanford Lewis, of course, got shot down out of an airplane over Germany. He was in Nazi camp for almost 2 years until the war was over. My brother Sidney took a ship into Normandy, the sands of Normandy, on VE Day with bombs all over the place. But I guess, in one sense, we were all heroes. Well, we all came back. We all came back to the beacon of B'nai Jacob. And B'nai Jacob's solid, as we thought about. And then we would disperse again. We'd go to college, and we'd go to other towns to live. But everybody would come back from one time or another. Families were always...
So you were gone from what years to what years?
I was going essentially when I came back from the Navy in 46, I went to college, and after college I went Akron, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. I went to Los Angeles. I went to Santa Maria, California. I went to Chile for a couple years, and then I came back home. Incidentally, Santa Maria was 70 miles north of Santa Barbara, so when I wanted to go to services, I'd go to Santa Barbara. Who was a rabbi there?
Rabbi Cole?
Rabbi Kohler.
Wow.
So, as they say in Spanish, El mundo es un pañuelo.
Small world.
So, I came back here and worked for a while, and then I went away again. And of course, I met Rita, and that changed my life. And from Los Angeles to Cleveland, and from Cleveland to Las Vegas. And after a few years in Las Vegas, we decided our life ought to be back home where the beacon of B'nai Jacob was. So we decided to bring the family back here. Merrill had his first and maybe only haircut in Las Vegas.
Where were you born? You were born here.
Yeah, Polly and Henry were born
Here.
here after we moved back. But we needed to come back here. The families were here. B'nai Jacob was here. We're happy we came back, of course, because our lives were right here in Charleston. Of course, we raised our families here. I'm the 3rd generation after Julius and Philip, and then Henry, and of course Polly's in Baltimore and Merrill's in Park City, Utah. And then Megan became the 4th generation Nearman. And then the 2 boys, Josiah had his bar mitzvah last year. Sean will have his bar mitzvah next spring. I'm inviting everybody to come to the bar mitzvah. We'll have a no cash bar. We hope everyone will attend, and we're just thankful that the beacon of light of B'nai Jacob brought us back. It's B'nai Jacob solid. People were good, always been good. And everybody would come back. If they move away and work, they would come back and visit. Part of the family was here, and they'd come back with their families. Someone would say, "Hey, Babe Sachs is back in town for the weekend. He's with Becky and Sam, staying at their house. Oh, I'll see him at shul on Saturday. Peachy Mizinner's back for a couple of weeks. Well, we'll see him at shul on Saturday." And it was always back to B'nai Jacob. And another fond memory is of all the women gathering together in the kitchen to prepare bar mitzvah meals. Friday night, the tea and cake and the Oneg Shabbats and whatever festive ceremony. There'd be 12, 18 women in the kitchen kibitzing and talking and preparing and comparing notes. It was the wealthy, the not so wealthy, and the not so poor, mingling together, helping together. And how do you fix your kugel? What do you do with your whatever? Comparing recipes. And it was B'nai Jacob strong. It's been a good synagogue for the 125 years. We've had great rabbis. The turnover in our Rebbensons have been very, very slow, and we've been blessed in that way. I'm happy that I've been a member, and 6 generations. The Nearman family's been there and still be there, and we'll always be there, right, gang? What do you say?
Well, I can't remember. I can't conceive of B'nai Jacob without a Nearman. Since I've been here, I know we've honored you as the Man of the Year. You were a pillar in terms of coming always to Minyan and supporting the synagogue, the Nearman family. I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to come back after the 125th, and I can see that we have a lot more stories to tell. So I'd like to come back if it's with your permission, and hopefully many of you will come back and join us for our 125th, see some of the things that Nemo's talked about. We have downstairs our archive room, and there's so many pictures, there's so many stories, and so much to share. So I hope you'll join us. It'll be September the 27th through the 29th. On behalf of the entire 4 generations here of Nearman family, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.